Choosing your Disney World resort is a huge decision and an even bigger investment. So before you go booking that value or moderate resort thinking you're getting a great deal, you need to hear the truth.
That's right. Today we're breaking down the absolute best and absolute worst thing about every single Disney value and moderate resort. No fluff, just the honest pros and cons.
And because we know some of you are interested in our deluxe resorts, don't worry, we'll be covering those in our very next video. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you'll be the very first to see it.
All right, so we are going to start with the value resorts here and work our way kind of up the price tier a little bit. We're going to start with the all-star resorts. We are combining all three of them into one for this because they are so similar. So getting started, I'll take the worst thing about the all-star resorts. And I believe that the worst thing about them is sort of just the rowdiness level of those resorts, the loudness. There are a lot of sports competition groups and teams that stay at the all-star resorts and school groups. And look, I'm not bashing it. Those kids are having a blast, and I know that I would have been too at that age had I been in a big group trip to Disney World like that. They're having a lot of fun with each other, but there's so many of them a lot of times that, and their energy is feeding off each other, and they are just wild and crazy and having a lot of fun. If you're not a part of that group, if you're not one of the chaperones or parents or coaches and you're kind of, not a part of that group and you're just staying at the resort, it can be a little crazy. It can be a little overwhelming, a little loud. So I'm going to go with that. I'm not knocking the idea that they're there. I think it's great for them, and I know they're having a lot of fun. But I'm saying if you're not a part of that and you're staying there, it could be kind of a negative thing for you. So I'm going with that as the worst thing about the all-star resorts.
All right, so now I'll take the best thing about the all-star resorts. And for me, that's an easy one because you can get a room at the all-stars, even a preferred room at one of them, sometimes for under $200 pretty frequently. And that's usually after a discount is applied, but that is going to be the cheapest way to stay on Disney property. And I know there's a lot of people out there. We have family members that will swear by staying off property, renting an Airbnb, staying at somewhere else that's around the same price point, but you may have more space. For me, I like being in that bubble. And if you tell me I have to put up with a school group or a team, but I get to be in the Disney bubble for under $200 a night, and that's the only way I get to go, that's what I would choose.
Sure.
So for me, that's the very best thing about the All-Stars. All right, Pop Century is our next resort, and I get to start off by saying the worst thing about Pop Century. And we stay there a lot, so this one is easy for me. I talk about it all the time. I do not like the bus transportation at that resort. And I feel like it could be fixed by just sending buses a little more frequently. I know they have those accordion style buses. Maybe sending those more frequently for Pop Century to pick up from the parks or to take to the parks. But I've had to stand on those pretty frequently too, and I'm not tall, so I have a hard time reaching the handles when I have to stand on those. So maybe just don't fill the buses so full of people and send them more frequently, and then I would be much happier staying there.
Yep, understandable, but the best thing about Pop Century, which I'm going to talk about, makes your worst thing not so bad, and that is the Skyliner transportation that you have at Pop Century, meaning that weather permitting, that you can take the Skyliner to at least Hollywood Studios and Epcot and not have to be on those crowded buses where you might have a hard time reaching the handles. I go back and forth with this with Pop Century. It's one of the resorts we really love for the price and the value of what you're getting. I go back and forth with the theming or Skyliner. What is the best thing about it? The theming is great, but there are some other great themed resorts at Disney World too. So that's why I ultimately landed on the Skyliner. Look, the bottom line is that Pop Century is the cheapest resort at Disney World where you get some kind of premium transportation. other than the buses. So meaning like you get boats to somewhere, or you get a monorail, or you get the Skyliner. So because of that, it's a great value. Being on the Skyliner at the cheapest price point. So that's the best thing about Pop Century. Now, moving right across Hourglass Lake over to Art of Animation. I will talk about the worst thing about Art of Animation, which is a very easy one for Krista and myself. If you've watched at least one of our other videos in the past where we talked about rooms that we loved and rooms that we would never book again, this one came up. It is the Little Mermaid room at Art of Animation. And it's not that we hate the room. It's not that we hate Little Mermaid. It's none of that. It's that it is simply overpriced. You're getting basically the same room if you book the Little Mermaid room at Art of Animation that you're getting back across the lake over at Pop Century.
Yeah.
But you're paying more for it.
Well, actually, and they're not even as updated as the Pop Century rooms. I think they're updating them right now, or they're getting ready to go through the process of updating to where they're going to have the Murphy pull-down bed for the second bed in the room. So even now, the Pop Century rooms are a little better, I think. And they also exclude Art of Animation Mermaid rooms from a lot of the discounts they offer.
Yeah, excellent point. So our beef with the Little Mermaid room is just simply that it's overpriced. It's just overpriced for what you're getting, and that is the worst thing about Art of Animation.
Yeah, and I will point out, we don't have a lot of footage of the interior of those rooms because since we have started our travel agency and our channel, we haven't actually stayed there because that's how much we don't want to pay for that room. So kind of backs up our opinion, I think. But yeah, that's why the lack of footage of the interior of those rooms right now.
Great point. We have stayed there. We just do not actually personally have video of the interior of the room.
So now I get to say the best thing about Art of Animation, and there is a lot to love about that resort. The best thing, in my opinion, though, is the theming, especially around the areas where you get the family suites. So you have Cars, Finding Nemo, and Lion King. And those rooms, the interior of them, but also the grounds are so themed. It's so much fun. If you are an adult or a kid that loves those movies, you will love this resort. My kids were the biggest Cars fans growing up. They've kind of aged out of it a little bit, but I think even seeing that now, they still get excited and get nostalgic. But it feels like you are in Radiator Springs in that Cars area. I've never seen such immersive theming at a resort, and we've been to a lot of resorts. So for me, that's an easy one. The theming there is the very best thing at that resort.
Yeah, we were there, just a couple of months ago. We weren't staying at Art of Animation at the time, but we were there one evening. And we had a good time just walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Just walking around and enjoying the theming. I think we had a bite to eat, maybe a drink at the pool bar over there. But yeah, just a good time walking around. The theming is so cool.
Yeah, it is. If you enjoy watching Disney, Universal, and Disney Cruise content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you be part of our Travel Soul community.
And Krista and I own a travel agency called Blue Horse Travel. If you need any help in booking a Disney trip in the future, please go to bluehorsetravel.com, click on the booking link there, fill out a quick form, and then we'll be in touch with you to help you plan your Disney vacation.
All right, starting out the moderate category with Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. So that's a very large resort, and it's made up of like 6 island nations. The different areas of the resort are named after them, and Trinidad is the one that is furthest removed from the rest of the resort. And we visited that area not long ago when we were staying there, and I don't care what anyone says, to me, it's a very long walk to the Skyliner station, and it's also a long walk to Old Port Royal. So I feel like they could take that area build up a little bit more around it and make just a separate sister resort to the rest of Caribbean Beach. And that might be a really cool thing to do, kind of like French Quarter's a smaller footprint of the Port Orleans resorts, and it's a sister resort to Riverside. I feel like that could solve problems and create more rooms, maybe if they built up a little bit around it, added more rooms. But right now, that's the worst thing about the resort.
Put in a new fancy pool or something back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with Caribbean Beach, I feel like for the best thing about it, I think the low-hanging fruit is probably the pools, and they do have very good pools at that resort. But I am going to maybe throw a curveball on this one, and I'm going to say it's Sebastian's. So that is their table service meal or restaurant that they have at Caribbean Beach. And we really love it. We have only eaten there one time, and it was earlier this year, so it hasn't been too long ago. And we were giving it a try, and we both walked out of there very pleasantly surprised. We had a great meal. We were like, wow, this was a lot better.
It's family style, all you can eat, so much meat, really good bread service.
Oh, the bread was awesome, and the the jam that they served with that bread, I loved. Stuff. It was good salad. Mm-hmm. Everything about the meal was so good that we're looking forward to going back there again, hopefully soon. It really just kind of, because you don't hear a lot about it.
Right.
It seems like to me, you don't hear a lot of fanfare about Sebastian's, and we thought it was one of the better dinners that we've had at Disney recently. So I'm going with Sebastian's as the best thing about Caribbean Beach. Okay, moving along in the moderates. We are now at the French Quarter, Port Orleans French Quarter. And I have the job here of talking about what is the worst thing there. And that's tough because we really like this one too, as we do most of the Disney resorts. For the worst thing about Port Orleans French Quarter, I'm going to go with something that just doesn't exist there rather than something that does, and that is a table service restaurant. And years ago, that resort had one. I love that kind of food, Cajun, Creole, kind of style food. I wish they still had a table service restaurant there because I think I would frequent it.
Imagine the different types of beignets they could offer.
Yeah, there you go. Now, I still enjoy their quick service. I go in there and I get jambalaya and gumbo and things like that. But I do wish that they offered a table service experience there. And again, they used to years ago. They took it away, have never brought it back. I don't understand why. It's the only moderate tiered resort at Disney World that does not have its own table service restaurant, which I think is a big bummer. So I'm going with that as the worst thing about Port Orleans French Quarter.
Yeah, so I get to say what the best thing is. There's so much to love about that resort. We love it. I go back and forth. I think it might be my very favorite moderate on property. And my favorite thing about it is the size of the resort. So I know that we talk about that a lot on other videos, but it is so quaint, so quiet. One of the times we stayed there not too long ago, I think you were golfing in the morning, and I just went out to walk around by myself. I saw there was already a carriage ride going on, and other than that, there weren't a lot of people. It was very peaceful, and you're never going to be a far walk. No matter what room you get, where your location is, you're not going to be far from the food court, the bus stop, or the boat, or the pool, the boat dock, or the pool. So it's just very small, very not overwhelming. If you want a place to stay to get away from the crowds and the chaos of the parks, it's a great option. All right, so best thing about French Quarter, now I get to move on to its sister resort, Port Orleans Riverside, and I'm going to talk about the worst thing about that resort. And I have avoided staying there for a while now because of the worst thing about that resort. And for me, that is the sheer size, and I guess the way that it's laid out. If you are not in a preferred location, for me, and we've stayed in almost all the resorts, all but one at this point, and there are some that are equally large, but I guess the way that they are designed, it just doesn't feel like you're walking as far when you want to go to the food court. And there, it feels like a really far walk. And when there's bad weather, like I encountered one week we were there, and for several days in a row it rained, the walkways were flooded, and it was very difficult to get to the front for food and drinks. So for me, that is easily the worst thing about the resort. If you stay preferred, it's so much better, and it's a much better location.
I'm going to go for the best thing about Port Orleans Riverside. I'm going to go with actually the theming, because I like how I think unlike Caribbean Beach, unlike Coronado Springs, and unlike French Quarter, you have a couple of different distinct themes there with the two sections.
Yeah, the Alligator Bayou, and then like the mansion section where it's
right.
I forgot what it's Magnolia, but it's like old South homes, and
exactly
is what it's designed to look like.
Yeah. So I kind of like that you have two distinct, kind of different themes going on, and then around what is the area called? My mind is going blank. Kind of the central hub of the resort, Sassagoula
Float Works.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm probably not remembering it correctly either.
I'm having a hard time, and we were just there the other day. We've been there many times, but the sort of the central hub of activity of the resort, where you have the restaurants and the boat dock, the gift shop, the lobby. That area is really cool too. It's like kind of reminds me of a southern river town.
Yeah.
Kind of experience, and we've had a lot of fun hanging out there. A lot of fun just walking around, having some food and checking out the pool. Not pool hopping, but
no, definitely not pool hopping.
but just kind of walking around that area. So I'm gonna go with that. I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool theming for that resort, and that's what I'm going with on the best thing about Port Orleans Riverside. So moving on to the next moderate resort, that would be Coronado Springs, that we're going to cover, and I have to do the worst thing about it. This is probably my favorite moderate resort at Disney World. So this is a tough one for me, but I do think it's easy. I think the worst thing about it is very easy on this one, and it's that everywhere you go, you're taking the bus. So Coronado Springs does not have any boat, monorail, Skyliner transportation, so it's a little bit longer. Maybe you just don't have that kind of, cool experience and maybe easier way to get to one or two of the parks or to Disney Springs. You do have to take a bus everywhere from there. I really love this resort. I love what you get for the price point. It is, I'll let you go into the good things about it.
Yeah, this is don't steal my thunder.
Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. It's the only real knock that I could come up with is that you do have to take the buses everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah, come on, Disney, build a Skyliner station for us at Coronado Springs.
Oh, that would skyrocket Coronado Springs.
Of course, they would have to charge a lot more. And
they probably would start charging more, and then it really would start kind of pushing the deluxe tier, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the best thing about Coronado Springs, like you mentioned, you can get a lot of the amenities that you get at a deluxe resort at Coronado. It by far has the most dining options of any moderate resort. It rivals and even surpasses some of the deluxe resorts as far as the options you get there. There's so many places to eat, so much to do on property that we've stayed maybe 4 times in the last few months, and we couldn't fit everything in that we wanted to do. So there's so much to do there, and for me, that's the best thing. I mean, that is a great place if you want to do a staycation, especially if you're a couple, because I've said it on other videos, that Sangria University experience was so much fun. And then you can go have the same sangria flight that they give you at the beginning of that at Three Bridges. And there's so much to do. It's so much fun there, just hanging out at the resort. And to me, that is the best thing about Coronado Springs.
Yeah, it really is. With everything it has to offer, it's really very similar to many of the deluxe resorts. It really kind of,
and the pool's great there too.
and a really good pool. But you're still in the moderate price tier, even though it really kind of acts like a deluxe resort.
Yeah, and their village standard rooms, which is going to be the most basic room that you can get on property at Coronado Springs, usually prices out the lowest of any moderate. And you still get all those amenities. And they've made the walk from those rooms so much better because they built the bridges over the lake there. So it's just, you can get under $200 a night sometimes, depending on the discount. So for me, it's just a great value for what you get. I think that sums it up. You get so much, there's so much to do, and it's a great value for that. So
Absolutely.
Okay, our very last moderate resort today, and that is Fort Wilderness Resort. So that is considered a moderate resort by Disney standards. And that's going to be where you have your campground and RV sites, and then you've got the cabins. They're building a brand new DVC Lakeshore Lodge, which I think will be a really cool thing some people aren't happy about it. I'm trying to see the silver lining, and it looks like it's going to be a neat resort. But the worst thing about that resort, and that has to be the size of the resort, and that can be a double-edged sword because it is a cool experience just being there, but it is overwhelming. So if you don't have a car that you're driving to your cabin or your campsite, and you don't have a golf cart to drive around there, it's a lot. You have to take a bus to the pool, and then maybe a different bus to get up to where the horses are, and then another bus to where the food is. So it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't have a vehicle with you. So that's the worst thing about that resort.
The best thing about Fort Wilderness, and I've been trying to think of how to articulate this, but I think the best thing about that resort is it's very unique, I think, of all of the Disney resorts, in that the way that I think about it is that you could stay there and kind of have a vacation within your Disney vacation.
Yeah.
This resort is so unique. There's so much going on there and so much to do. Plus, it really has that kind of like camping kind of trip feel to it, that you could spend 5-6 days at Disney World and you're staying there, and you could spend a couple of days just being at the resort and it feels like you're on a camping trip.
Yeah.
But there's so many activities to do, you're not going to get bored. And then your other days, you could still go into the Disney parks or even, go visit Disney Springs or something like that and have a more traditional Disney World kind of trip. So it's very unique in that it's kind of, I feel like if you stay there, it's like you're getting 2-for-1 vacations almost.
Yeah, and one day we'll find out. That is the one resort we have not stayed at. So we visited many times, and I'm looking forward to finally staying there at some point.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, that is it. That's our best and worst of all the value and moderate resorts. Thanks so much for watching. We'd love to hear in the comments, do you agree with our thoughts? What did we miss? What do you think of the value and moderate resorts?
And don't forget, our next video, we are going to do the same thing with all of those deluxe resorts. So don't forget, subscribe, turn the notifications on so you don't miss that. And we will see you next time.